You're live.
Good morning. It's Friday, December 26th, 2025, and you're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. Or maybe you're listening and you're in for a treat, as are we. This morning, John, you and I are going to be doing a 2-hour show, no TMI show at 10 o'clock Eastern. So we're taking up the extra hour with your calls. So we will have producer Robbie West come on and explain for those of you who missed the last time we did this. And he is going to explain how you can call in using the Discord link, which he is going to provide. And you are going to be able to call John and I directly, and we'll be able to have a little chit chat, and we'll explain all the ground rules there. And of course, we have a lot of news to talk about today. Before we do that, John, I want to ask you, if you were that guy who bought the $1.8 billion Powerball ticket at a gas station in Arkansas, what would you do with that money? What would you do?
In all seriousness, the first thing I do is get the hell out of Arkansas. Number one. Number two. Yeah, I mean, what do you do? I would immediately start gobbling up luxury real estate all around the Western world. That's what I do.
That's excellent. I was thinking you might be able to, pay for like all the attorneys you need to get that pardon.
Right.
You could buy a few like white shoe law firms. Like you could probably buy Sullivan and Cromwell for that.
Yeah, I probably could for that kind of money.
I would definitely start a media empire. That would be my main thing I'd want to do. Reboot the media. That is in such trouble. All right, so got stuff to talk about here. We've got the Trump administration's plan to hold over 80,000 immigrant detainees at one time. The plan is, and this is very serious. It's not just sort of like on the, sort of one of those like, well, they're thinking about doing it. Congress has appropriated the money, and requests for proposal are out to contractors to build 7 ginormous matrix-like warehouses that would each hold 5,000 to 10,000 migrants at a time, where they would be staged for several weeks, whatever that means, for deportation. So it's basically the deportation industrial complex. Also, the main story probably that most mainstream media outlets are talking about this morning is the U.S. bombing of an alleged ISIS camp in northwestern Nigeria, ostensibly to protect Nigerian Christians who have been subject to attacks in recent months. And some progress on the Ukraine front, at least the negotiations between Trump and Zelensky. Although there's a bit of a wrinkle, because Zelensky, for his New Year's wishes that the new year not involve Vladimir Putin. He wishes for him to perish.
Well, there was breaking news just as we were coming on that Zelensky is flying on Sunday to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. I'm sure that's not going to be a friendly meeting.
Today?
He's going to go on Sunday.
Oh, on Sunday. Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So, and of course, as always, please like, follow, and share the show. The format is going to look a little different today, because today John and I are doing this doing this call-in show. So the 9 o'clock hour, which began 6 minutes ago, is going to be dedicated, as usual, to news and analysis. And we'd love to have your questions in text format in YouTube and as well as in Rumble. So pipe in those comments and donations and all that stuff, and we'll look at those and read them and get to them, as you know, as quickly as possible. We always try to get to all of them. We do a pretty good job there, I think. And then patting ourselves on the back. And then at 10 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to do the call-ins, and we had so much fun last time, and we're going to be doing that again today. Okay, so before we get to our news, we have one question from FUSO, and thanks for the donation. Do you have any crazy CIA Christmas stories? Well, I don't, but I bet John might.
I have kind of a fun CIA Christmas story. When I was stationed in Athens, of course, my primary job was to infiltrate and destroy or disrupt or whatever Revolutionary Organization 17 November, by far the most dangerous terrorist group ever to appear in Greece. And I worked very hard over the course of a year to make a recruitment who was a direct penetration of the organization. But here's federal bureaucracy for you. Because this guy was such a bad man, I could not get the Office of the Office of European Operations to agree to the recruitment. And they had to issue something called an exceptional, I won't say what it's called. They had to issue this special permission allowing me to go forward with the recruitment. Well, if my job is to disrupt the organization and one division of the agency won't allow me to make a recruitment to disrupt the organization, we have a serious problem here. And so on Christmas Eve, there is a CIA-wide Christmas party. And the director goes down into the lobby of the old headquarters building, which is the one that people have seen on TV with the great seal in the floor in the lobby and the wall of honor with the gold stars of everybody who's been killed in the line of duty and the flags and the portraits of all of our former directors. Two of my colleagues walked up to the director. It was George Tenet at the time, and he says, "Merry Christmas, fellas." And they said, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Director. We're not here, though, just to wish you a Merry Christmas. We're having a problem that we were hoping you could help with." And his chief of staff was standing next to him, and he says, "Guys, come on. It's Christmas Eve." And then one of them, an awesome guy that I worked with, said, "I think he's going to want to hear this." He said, "Mr. Director, we're from the 17 November Task Force, and we are trying to end terrorism in Greece. But the Office of European Operations won't allow us." He said, "John Kiriakou is in the process of recruiting a direct penetration of 17 November, and European operations won't allow him to do it." And Bennett then turned to his chief of staff, they told me later, and said, "Make it happen." And I mean, minutes later, I got a cable saying, "Do it." And so I did it. And I'm proud to say 2 years later, 17 November was disrupted. It was destroyed in part because of an accident, in part because of what our source told us they were planning to do. So it's not a crazy story, but it would make a fun scene in a movie.
Yeah, John, happenstance always terrifies me. Like when you hear about like a brilliant film director and he says, "Oh, I would have never gotten a chance to make a movie if not for this one time. I ran into this guy at a bar and he happened to know."
Yeah.
And it's like, and I hate that. I'm like, it's like,
Yeah.
we need a better system.
And that's life. That's real life.
That is that's true. That's how I got syndicated. It was like that, just sort of a happenstance thing. It would have never. I mean, I would have no career. I wouldn't be talking to you now just for some weird accident. All right, so let's see. We have a few more questions here. Robert Schur, Merry Christmas to you as well. Would love your guys' opinions on the current state of the conflict between Iran and Israel. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like right now it's a little bit. I guess I don't know. I wouldn't say exactly backburnered, but maybe sort of sideburnered. I think the word is coming from the White House to Israel that they would prefer that at this stage nothing more happen. That there certainly not be any more what they call kinetic strikes, right, against Iran. I think it's kind of like the president feels like he has his hands full. And he doesn't need any sassiness from Bibi. That's my take right now. It's like I don't think there's any progress, but I don't think things are getting any worse.
Agreed. There's no progress. But the desire for war is not coming from the Iranians.
No, well, it never has.
No.
No. I mean, Iran-Iraq war, that wasn't Iran's fault either. No. Okay, so Nicholas Francos, John, what's the point to have a CIA museum if you can't visit it?
I know, right? So,
although there's that private one that's not in DC that you can visit.
That's the Spy Museum, which is very expensive. And I'll tell you what, Ted, I'm not partial to interactive museums. I don't want to do a day in the life of a spy. I want to see cool shit that has been used in operation.
So I am, John. I'm glad you said that. I mean, I was really disappointed with the new African American Museum in Washington.
Hated it.
The building is astonishing. The buildings, the
Yeah,
architecture
go to
is
see
cool.
the building. The architecture is amazing. But the
Don't need to
museum's
go
terrible.
inside. But inside, I mean, I hate to say this, but like, I want to see cool shit. And Lord knows it's not like African American history doesn't have cool artifacts to show, right? I mean,
Right.
show me like a Duke Ellington original acetate. Show me a slave
Exactly.
collar. I saw a slave collar in
Exactly.
Goldberg's apartment. I didn't see one there. It's all like it's just pictures and displays, videos. I'm like, I can have the same exact experience on YouTube. I don't need to be here. I don't need to
Exactly
stand
right.
here, and find parking and all that. So, but I mean, I guess that's just sort of the way it's done now. Thanks for the $25 from Brian Good Dick. Keep up the good work. Much appreciated. We will try. We will try, and we will
Thank
continue
you.
in the coming year. Hey, John, we do have, before we do our hour of power in calls coming up in 47 minutes, I guess let's go ahead. Yeah, perfect. Robbie's reading my mind, as he often does. Robbie, come on in and please explain how the 10 o'clock call-ins are going to work.
All right, so the call-ins will be pretty straightforward. If you want to participate, click on the link for the Discord server. Up towards the top of the server, you're going to see a link that says Call In Waiting Room. Just park in there, wait. I will keep track of who comes in there first. My request
Wait, where's that link? Where's that link? Where can people find that link?
It's in the chat. I got pinned in the chat on both Rumble and on YouTube, and I will share it again multiple times.
Okay,
So,
cool.
but it's right there at the top on the pinned comment. On the Discord server, you're going to see a voice room that says Lobby. Click on there, chill out, and wait. I will then drag you over and drop you into the room that me, John, and Ted are in, and you can ask your questions. We don't want to hear about your stories. We don't want to hear about hacking back in the 90s. We don't care about any of that. We want questions because we only have an hour for the actual talk. Also,
Lots of other people are waiting.
They are
considerate.
People are waiting. We want to get through as many calls as we possibly can. And just be professional. I mean, this is a talk radio show. Treat it accordingly. Basically, what that means in redneck, don't be a dick. Come in, ask your question, and go away, and we will continue onward from there.
And if you are a dick, there will be consequences. Namely, you will be. I mean, you will be banned in perpetuity. Let's put it that way.
I will 100% ban you. You'll never be allowed on the Discord server. You'll never get a chance to ask these two guys a question again. So buyer beware. If you're a dick, there'll be a price to pay. I am the god.
So it's just like it's standard talk radio. Rules apply.
Yes,
So,
I am the god of this Discord server. So tread carefully.
you may curse about as much as John and I. No
Yes.
more.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was doing that show with Lee Stranahan, people would call and we'd have to ban them for swearing and stuff because it was terrestrial radio. But they just couldn't understand. Like, look, it's my show. You can't call in and swear at me. It's my show. You're gonna get banned.
Right. Well, that's. I mean, yeah. It's like people would do that on like my Facebook page, and they just say shit. They'd insult me, and then I'd block them, and they'd be like, They're like, you're censoring me. I'm like, yes, I'm censoring you. You have come into my home, and you decided to whip out your dick and flail around and piss on my sofa. You're lucky I don't kill you. It's like, so yeah.
I blocked 6 people on Facebook yesterday. Christmas Day. I had to block 6 people because somebody I never heard of who goes by Billy Bob and has a picture of Stalin as his icon. What do you call it? Said something like, I can't believe that scumbag John Kiriakou went on Piers Morgan and defended attacking Venezuela. No, I didn't. I'm against attacking Venezuela.
Yes, that is 100%. Yeah, that's 100% not true. Yeah.
Not true. And then I blocked
People
one guy.
People just say shit.
Yeah, they just say shit. So I had to block one guy because he says the one thing that I hate the most. Once CIA, always CIA. And I wrote, you came up with that all on your own, Professor Einstein? I'll be glad to tell Ed Snowden and Ray McGovern and the sons of Philip Agee that you think they're all still in the CIA, you fucking moron. And then I blocked him. And I blocked everybody who supported him.
Yeah, no, well, and rightly so. Yeah,
How
periodically I do a
intellectually lazy is that? Well, I saw in a movie one time that once CIA, always CIA. You retard.
well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
Blocked.
I literally have people say, "Well, you never made fun of a Democratic president." I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah,
And then
it's like,
when a
what?
Democrat is in power, they say, "You've never made fun of a Republican president." I'm like,
Give me a
"Really? I mean,
break.
you're just saying that. That is not true, to say the least."
No,
Um,
it is simply not true.
Yeah, it's objectively not true. All right, so let's see. FU also thanks for the money. Have you messed around with VR games, VR animation movies, VR travel, etc.? I have. So I did. So actually, I started out many years ago. I was speaking in Springfield, Illinois, and I was invited to a high tech lab at the University of Illinois at Springfield, sorry, at Champaign Urbana, not Springfield, and they had this VR lab, and it was so cool. So you wear the glasses and the gloves. This was a long time ago. This was like 15 years ago, and so like you're basically in this virtual VR landscape that is drawn by children. Basically, it's like a children's drawing of buildings, children's drawing of butterflies.
Huh.
So visually, you know it's not real, right? And yet, at one point, you're walking, you're standing on a roof, and you get the sense that you're going to fall off the roof if you go too far. You see a butterfly go by you, and the butterfly, like you feel like it's going to hit you, and you duck out of the way. That was my first time. My son is an avid gamer, and he has a VR you know thing, and
Yeah.
he was so into it, visor, all that stuff, and he was so into it that he got so excited that he ended up breaking our television.
Ah,
Smacked into it with these flat screens. If you bang into them, like basically first you get like 1 pixel, and then starts to spread like your windshield when a pebble hits it on the freeway.
right.
It's sort of just, and then eventually you just can't really watch the TV. So yeah, no, I mean I have. How about you, John?
I didn't do anything at all with it until Meta came out with its VR thing at the very, very start of COVID. And I'll tell you what, I went out and bought one because my brother-in-law showed me his. And you put it on and you just tell it where you want it to take you. So I would say, take me to the National Cathedral of Athens, Greece. And boom, you're there. And then you can walk down the streets because it's done like Google Earth, the same kind of thing. You walk down the streets, you look up, you see the Parthenon. It was very effective in battling depression during COVID. You just put that thing on and you're in Honolulu or you're in Miami or wherever it is you want to be. It worked. It was incredible.
Yeah, the travel ones are cool. It's kind of like Viewmaster on steroids, if you remember those things.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yes.
It's I mean, so I mean, I will say also I played some of my son's very violent VR games, and to be honest, John, I found it really upsetting. And I have seen some really violent, horrible shit in doing
Yeah.
conflict reporting and other things while
Sure.
traveling. And even
Sure.
so, I found like, I don't really want to, feel like something's trying to stab me, or that I have to cut off its head and have blood all over the place.
Right.
I'm like, if I'm doing that, I want hazardous duty pay from like the LA Times.
Right. Yes,
So,
indeed.
but I wonder about that level of desensitization. It's like it didn't seem to bother my son at all. But he's like, "Oh, it's fun." I'm like, but maybe I'm just a puss.
Wow.
I might just be a puss. This is a good question, and I'd like to answer it too, even though it's directed to you, John. Hidden 69. As you may have heard, Syria is introducing a currency swap on January 1st. So what that basically means is every Syrians are being encouraged to bring in their current old banknotes, and they'll exchange them for new ones on January 1st. And I guess sooner rather than later, the old ones will be declared invalid. Do you believe that this will assist in unifying Syria or contribute to the further fragmentation of Syria?
I don't think it's going to have much of an effect, to tell you the truth. And we should say that there's been a very long-standing scam in the Middle East that it's being called the currency reset, right? So you invest $10,000 in old Iraqi currency. There's going to be this currency reset. You're going to make $1 million. Well-known scam. It's been around for 20 years now. There is no currency reset. The currency swap is different. All the money in Syria has Bashar al-Assad's face on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to reintroduce a new Syrian dinar. Or not reintroduce. They're going to introduce a new Syrian dinar. And the Syrian dinar is going to have, a bird on it or whatever, a scene from Damascus, just to get Bashar al-Assad behind them. With that said, there are a lot of people who support Bashar al-Assad. There are a lot of people who oppose Gilani, or Shara, whatever he's going by today. So I'm not sure it's going to have much of an effect on anything.
Well, aside from the symbolism, which is real, I think also there's some practical issues here too. I mean, this is really a clever way to find people who earned a lot of money under Assad. They're between a rock and a hard place now. Basically, if you were, in with the regime, either licitly or illicitly, now you're stuck with all this money that's about to become a bunch of bricks, and you can either expose yourself. I mean, what's the whole point of hoarding cash? The point of hoarding cash is anonymity, and you lose that anonymity when you show up at the bank with a big, gunny sack full of old Assad bills, and you have to turn them in, and they're asking. It's not like you can't submit. You're not allowed. You have to show ID. You have to show your name. So this is a way to try to ferret out enemies of the new government. No doubt about that, right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely, it's very clever. I smell IMF all over that.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean,
I have to agree.
So definitely, Syria's going to end up as one of those client states that's heavily indebted to the IMF. No question about it.
Hate to say it.
The vultures be circling overhead. Okay, so what do we want to talk about first? Should we talk about the migrant warehouses? Maybe we should talk about Nigeria first, or what should we do?
Well, Nigeria is more breaking news, I guess. We should probably talk about Nigeria.
All right, let's do Nigeria then. All right, so basically the U.S. claims to I liked the way you put it the other day, John. You said, these bombings always involve like hitting some fucking hut in the middle of nowhere and hitting people who may or may not be affiliated with the terrorist group that you're trying to get. So ISIS, and I'm just going to say, is this really ISIS or is this really Boko Haram in northwest Nigeria?
It's not ISIS. It's Boko Haram, which is loosely affiliated with ISIS or Al Qaeda or whatever you want it to be affiliated with. They all cooperate when they need to cooperate. So yeah, it's not ISIS. ISIS is just a way of making it understandable to people, I think.
So these Boko Haram / ISIS dudes allegedly in tents in a camp in northwest Nigeria, they just caught like over a dozen cruise missiles. I just think about the cost, right? Each one of them costs millions of dollars. That's just for the production. That's not even like the cost of firing them. Anyway, so they killed these people. John, what is the point politically of this from the standpoint of the Trump administration? I mean, Trump I assume he's just playing to his Christian nationalist base, like I'm protecting Nigerian Christians. But for the American public writ large, especially, and for America Firsters, why are we supposed to care about the beleaguered Nigerian Christians? And if so, why?
I was thinking about this last night. Like, should we care? Well, yeah, we should care. And if the Nigerians asked us for equipment or weapons or whatever for the purpose of fighting back Boko Haram, of course, we should help them do that. If the Nigerians came to us and said, we've got a serious situation in the north with Boko Haram, please, bomb them for us, we would probably say yes. If we just decided on Christmas give a present to the Nigerians by bombing Boko Haram, and they didn't ask us to. That is a very serious act of war and violation of international law. But we don't know what happened. Donald Trump hasn't told us what happened. So on the one hand, sure, it could be a good thing. On the other hand, it could be a terrible extension of what is already an ill-advised war with no real goal having been delineated.
I mean, I wonder also, I mean, to me, I can't help but think that this is sort of a mixed, a mixed message to the Christian nationalist base, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
I will defend Christians. So I understand, like, I'm defending Afrikaner farmers in South Africa.
Right.
We're being
right.
attacked by, we won't say who, but black people. And then it's like, in this case, in Nigeria, we're going to defend Christians, but these are black Christians. I mean, okay,
Right.
I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud. Do American Christians care about Nigerian black Christians as much as they care about other Christians?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. I would hope so.
And is it really
Well,
America's job to sort of crusade,
let me
to
answer
defend the
that.
faith all around the world?
Let me answer that by telling you a story. A couple of years ago, during COVID, Bruce Fine and I made 2 international trips together for work. Bruce represents um, a very important Nigerian political figure who has been under arrest for 3 or 4 years now with no charge. And guy's actually a British citizen. He's a dual British Nigerian national, and he also happens to be Jewish. So we flew to London. We met with several members of parliament, and we said, "Listen, the guy's being held by the Nigerians, and it's bad because he's British, and he's being held without charge, and it's a crime against humanity, and all this stuff." And they came right out and said to us, "Well, but he's not really British." And we said, "What do you mean?" "Well, he's Jewish, and if he were really British, he'd be Christian." So they wouldn't help us at all. We flew then from London to Tel Aviv, and we met with the Minister for National Security. This is several years ago under Netanyahu. We met with the Minister for National Security, and we met at the Knesset. It was a big deal. I even saved my Knesset visitor's badge as a souvenir. And the guy heard us out and how terrible this is. And then he says, "He isn't really Jewish, And we're like, "No, we don't know. He's Jewish. Either you're Jewish or you're not Jewish." "Oh, but
Right.
he's, well, And Bruce said, "Just say it. He's black. Just say it."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, ha ha ha." Well, so nobody would help this guy. So I don't know. Do Christians consider black African Christians to be real Christians? Do Jews consider black African Jews to be Jews? I think there's some racism involved there.
I mean, a lot.
And
Yeah, I mean,
more
a lot
than
of
just a little bit.
a lot of Orthodox Jews, Israeli Jews, don't consider Reform Jews to be real Jews.
Yeah,
They consider them to be
Right.
apostates.
that's right. That's right.
So I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I guess the thing is, I mean, like, look, I'm uncomfortable with the whenever I'm told, like, oh, there's people being discriminated against overseas, and I think, well, there's people being discriminated against here in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like, I don't know, why is this our role to go
Right.
and have anything to do with this, even though that's awful?
Yeah, listen, you're either going to be a neocon, neoliberal who loves using military force even when you're not asked to use it, or you're not. One or the other.
So, yes, I mean, someone asked here in the chat, John Harth, should we go back to isolationism like we did in pre-World War II? I mean, I say yes.
And I would say not necessarily. There's something to be said. This is where I totally agree with the MAGA base. War is bad, right? And we should do literally
waste of money
everything we can
and
do.
time
Yeah, and a waste of money.
and lives.
And we should do literally everything possible to avoid war. With that
Yes.
said, sometimes it can't be avoided. And
Sure.
isolationists, I think a real isolationist would oppose war under any circumstances. And I wouldn't. I think that there is such a thing as a righteous war.
John, you're muted. I don't know what
No,
happened there. Oh, there you are. You're back.
I'm not.
Okay. Oh, you just broke out. You just disappeared.
Oh, yeah. I think there is such a thing as a righteous war. Is what I was saying. There aren't a lot of them.
They're few and far.
There's-
They're few and far
Yeah.
between. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you though.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is one of them though. At least for the
Yeah.
record, at least officially, the Nigerian government says that it is cooperating and very happy about America's assistance here. So
Yeah, but did they ask for it though? Is the
yeah, they're not saying that.
no?
I doubt it.
Like, can
Brian,
you imagine waking up one morning and say, "Oh, the United States bombed us during the night"? Well, that's good.
that does seem it does seem
Come
terrifying.
on.
Yeah, not much good comes out of that. Brian, thanks for the $25 and happy Boxing Day to you. John, hope you're enjoying your stay in New Hampshire. I live in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. New Hampshire is the
Awesome.
best state to live in. Live free or die.
Oh my God, how many times have we said that this past week? Live free or die, man. It means something here. It really means something here. We were just talking last night about taxes. You know, there are so few taxes here. People come up from Massachusetts and shop. They come down from Maine and shop. It's fantastic. And you know what else they're doing away with here on January the 1st? Is car inspections. No more car inspections.
Oh, car inspections are a racket, and they're so out
Yeah,
of
they
date,
are.
right? I mean, it was this
Toyotas
whole thing
now.
like, I mean, if you have a car that's like, say, post 2010, 2004, you probably,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really need one. Yeah.
No.
Morrow M80, thanks for the $5. A 10-episode limited series on Netflix about John's life called Whistleblower. That's what I would do with my billion, plus live out of New
Thank you.
Jersey. Jacob Decker, thanks for the $10. Do you think Christmas was especially chosen to limit backlash from the airstrikes since the victims are Christians and everyone is distracted? Well, the victims
Yes.
of the bombings are not Christians; they're Muslim. But I think it was chosen because no one really cares, right? I mean, basically, it's sort of like a side project. If Trump wanted to make hay out of this, he wouldn't bury it in the middle of the holiday.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that Trump probably likes that there's something symbolic about, protecting Christians on Christmas.
Totally. It's cheesy. I hate stuff like that. Like I hated the fact that Joe Biden had originally scheduled the withdrawal from Afghanistan to be exactly on September 11th, 2021. And it was like, which he, like so many other things he was unable to do. He was unable to pull off successfully. But it was just sort of like so dumb. So
Yeah,
dumb.
that's just dumb.
You know, so all right, so I guess not this is basically all part of the shadow wars, right? This will continue. What's the real reasoning here? Is it just cheap politics, or is it also an opportunity to test weapon systems? Is there any US Nigerian political sort of machinations that we're not focused on here? I mean, is there anything else behind it? I mean, it's the reason given just seems so flimsy. I keep thinking maybe there's more to it, but maybe there isn't.
No, I think all of the above. All of the above. And symbolically, I mean, what a great thing to bomb Muslims on Christmas Day because they're killing Christians.
Right. I've been in Crusader mode because of that book I've been reading, Power and Thrones, and it does seem like it's part of the Crusader impulse.
Definitely.
Okay, so all right, so we talk about the Trump administration. I was terrified when I read about this. So the Washington Post has this info. RFPs, requests for proposals, are out from Homeland Security. Basically, ICE is a wash in money as they prepare to become the biggest militarized force on the planet this year, this coming year. So they feel like they're not able to process enough people at once. So obviously they still have big plans for 2026, and they want to be able to keep 80,000 or more immigrant detainees at once in these giant warehouses holding 5 to 10,000 people each. I can't help but thinking of either Coma or The Matrix, or here, I'll say it, a death camp. This is industrialization of the processing of human beings. And I can't think that anything good is going to come from this. If I were going to think of anything positive, it might be that people won't languish in custody as long before they are ultimately deported. I mean, I'm really casting about here. I'm flailing, looking for a silver lining, but I can't. I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me like this is a recipe for mistreatment and abuse.
Yeah. I have to agree. I can't even see logistically how in the world it can be implemented. You can't have a prison with 80,000 people in it. That's a serious sized city. So
Yeah.
it's going to be what? Escape from New York? Remember that movie? Escape from New York?
Escape from New York. Yeah, yeah. Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I mean, Kurt Russell. I think that's what we're talking about here. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's nuts.
The courts haven't even gotten involved yet. So just wait until the courts get involved. It's just not going to be. I can't imagine it happening.
Well, I mean, what would be obviously the thing is the government does have a legal and constitutional right to deport illegal immigrants.
That it does. Yes.
So the question, what would be the basis of a legal challenge here? Just, cruel and unusual punishment, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the scale of a facility itself prima facie evidence of cruel and unusual punishment? I don't know the answer to that.
A good question. I don't know, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure what to expect, but that would have to be the basis of it, though. You're thinking about it for a second. That would have to be the basis of it. That the prisons in Latin America are already notoriously bad, right? We know that with 100% certainty. So then crowding people into these hellholes for 80,000 at a time.
It's basically like, CCOT in El Salvador is much smaller than that, right? And the brief for that was that it was huge.
And don't they have another facility in El Salvador that holds 30,000? I think that's the case in El Salvador.
Yeah, I just wonder. Yeah, in most Latin American countries that have these giant sprawling city prisons, they get run by the gangs and by the prisoners themselves, because they cannot and will not hire enough prison guards to watch to supervise them, right? I don't know, this whole thing, it just made my stomach queasy. It's just to think about it. It was just like what kind of country are we becoming? What the fuck is wrong with us?
Man, I don't know. I don't get it. I have to agree with you.
I mean, do you think? Okay, I'm going to go total paranoia mode here. Do you think this is a prequel to? What's going to happen to this facility when all the illegal immigrants have been deported? I mean, are they just going to shut it down? Like, okay, well, we had that, we closed it, or is it going to, will the system necessarily, want to self-perpetuate in the same way that, like, the Cancer Society doesn't really, they want to get rid of cancer, but they'll go out of business if they get rid of cancer. Government entities always think of something new to do so they can keep their jobs and their mission and their budgets.
Do you remember
what's going to happen to those facilities?
Do you remember all the rumors at the end of the Obama administration? Oh, the Republicans just loved these, where like all of the country's buses were being chartered and sent to Texas, and there were these secret camps opening up, and Obama was going to declare a state of emergency and round up all the conservatives and send them to these camps on the chartered buses. Remember that? We're getting the same thing now.
Projection much?
Exactly. Now I think we're going to
Um,
get the same thing with Trump. Like, what's he doing? Oh my God, they're going to start rounding everybody up. And then they're going to put us in the camps if we don't stand up and oppose them now.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I don't.
Or-
Yeah, I mean, I just keep thinking though that I mean they are turning their attention now to deporting, people who are naturalized citizens. That makes me
Yeah.
incredibly nervous. I mean, they're basically dragging up people
Yeah.
with green
Yeah, it's bad.
cards, green card holders, and naturalized citizens who've been here in most cases for years, and they're looking for technicalities to nail you on, right? Like, I don't know, you you, how did you know Andrew Jackson, won the Battle of New Orleans or whatever on your citizenship test? It's sort of it just sort of. I mean, you can always find something on most people, right? I mean, I bet
Sure.
you could take away most people's college
100%.
degrees if you dug up their college applications or something from their high school transcript that's not quite right or whatever. Someone was friends with their teacher who they asked for a recommendation. I mean, there's no end to this. And at a certain
Yeah.
point, like a free society lets things go, and we're not letting things go.
Yeah. I agree with you. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. Yes.
So, all right, do we want to? Obviously, we'll watch that, but I mean, what we're seeing is just ISIS is growing bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes, it is.
Welcome to the deprogrammed channel, Stacey Taylor, much appreciated. Okay, FUSO wants to know if we're going to go see the Melania Trump movie.
$40 million. I just can't do it. No. I wouldn't see the Michelle Obama movie or the Jill Biden movie or the Barbara Bush movie either, because I just don't care.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
No.
I don't think. Yeah, I always think it's one of those things like, why did people pay Bill and Hillary Clinton those giant speaking fees? They have nothing to say that you haven't already heard, right?
Mhm.
And I feel that way about like people like the First Lady. There's no like now it can be told kind of vibe to
No.
this, right? Like there's nothing. You already know everything about Melania Trump that you're likely to learn. It's not going
That's
to be
right.
like, well, secretly
No.
she's a Turkish agent, or like who knows?
No, there's nothing there. I'm not
Yeah.
interested.
Catalog model. That's all. Whatever. Paul McMurray, 5777. Question for you, John. Do you think ICE is being set up to be a Praetorian Guard to enforce a third term? Or like, I guess you could say an SA or an SS, a force loyal to personally loyal to the president.
I don't think so. I think ICE is, as a body, is loyal to the president, yes. But a Praetorian Guard, I think that ICE would have to worry about actually going into battle against the military in such a situation. I really do.
Well, I agree with that. And that, of course, prompts an obvious question, John. If that were to happen, well, forget about
Let's
how,
play
if
that
that were,
out. Yeah, let's play that out. How would
Yeah,
that
let's.
happen? Would
and
it be-
also,
it would-
how does the military feel about ICE?
Yeah.
Or how are they going to feel about ICE?
So it's not 1933 again, right? There's no Smedley
No.
Butler out there that we know of.
Mhm.
And so a lot of the people who may have, stepped up to prevent something like that from happening have been either fired or have retired. So I'm wondering then, would it be the National Guard that would go out there and battle ICE? Would Democratic governors call out the National Guard? I think Robbie would agree that if that were the case, we might be looking at this national divorce that people are beginning to whisper about.
We'd become fucking Sudan, is what we'd
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Because ICE is. I guess the thing is, though, very clearly this would fall under the Insurrection Act.
Yeah,
The Supreme Court would agree overnight, no question.
Yes.
So then the question is, who represents the American government? Is it the President of the United States, or is it the U.S. military, which in my opinion, and probably yours, would be defending the Constitution?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
who would win? Well, obviously the U.S. military would win.
My position, you and I have talked about this 100 times. My position is that the Constitution is crystal clear. You cannot run for a third term, period. And I think that Donald Trump is teasing this just because it's fun. It's fun for him. He loves to see people squirm, and he loves to see what they have to say. And that's why they leaked the story that he had spoken with Dershowitz, and Dershowitz laid out different ways that he could run for a third term. He can't run for a third term, and I don't care if Dershowitz says he can. Dershowitz, I have my own problems with Dershowitz,
Yes,
but
you do.
I think that Trump is doing it. Yeah, I do. I think Trump is doing it just because it's fun. He's enjoying people squirm.
He's trolling. I also think there's a practical reason, John.
Trolling.
I think he's, effectively his biggest enemy politically in terms of power is being perceived as a lame duck. And so this mitigates the
Yes.
effect, the lame duck
Agreed.
aspect of his term. If people really were
Agreed.
1,000,000% sure he was leaving in 3 years, by the way, can you believe
Yeah.
it's only been 11 months into this 4-year term? I mean, it feels like it's been an eternity.
Yeah, it's slow going for a lot of people. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, even if you really like everything he's doing, just the breathtaking speed. And by the way, as a former Democrat and as a leftist, I'm really jealous. I mean, if you like what Trump is doing, man, he's doing a lot of it. Democrats
Yeah.
don't get that. Like just think about the Biden years. I mean, you'd go months without anything of any significance happening.
Yes. Yes,
I mean, you
indeed.
never heard from the president, and many times you were kind of like wondering, is it Weekend at Bernie's? Has he been dead for weeks?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
it's
must
pretty
be nice
crazy.
to have someone who's your guy who's doing lots of stuff. I mean, I guess Democrats had that under FDR. You have to go back quite a ways.
Yeah. Right, you do. You have to go back quite a ways.
So I think, by the way, Robbie, if you can come on and just explain the rules again, that would be great. And I'll explain. So basically, in 11 minutes, we're going to start taking calls on the air. We're doing a 2-hour show today. We're going straight to 11 o'clock a.m. 10 to 11 is going to be your call-ins. And Robbie, you're going to explain how this all works. And by the way, before I forget to ask, do we have any ads or anything?
We do. If you want, what I can do is I can go through, I can do my part, then I can just cue it up and I can read it, or I can share it with you and then you can read it if the Southern drawl just gets on your nerves that much.
Yeah, no Southern drawl today. Let's pipe it over. All right, go ahead and explain the. Go. I don't mind the Southern drawl, but actually, just want to do it quickly. The ad quickly.
All right.
So
So sounds good. All right. So at the top of the hour, we will start bringing the callers over. Please, if you are watching the stream, mute your tab that you're on, so that way you'll get kind of feedback. That way just sounds nice and clear. Also, we're looking for questions. If you have a question for John and Ted, please ask your question. Just make it pithy. We have quite a few people in line. We'll make sure we get to them all. This is not the time to tell your life story. This is not the time to explain your political ideation. We don't care about that. We want to hear questions. Be short, be pithy, and we will get through your questions. And thank y'all for tuning in.
Thank you, Robbie.
And I'll drop that ad for you.
Please go ahead and put up that ad. And seriously, I think I've always thought Southern accents were charming, but that's just me. Also, I grew up in Southern Ohio, which is like basically Ohio-Tucky. I had neighbors who had like their cars up on blocks in the front, and people would say like, they're from Kentucky. My next door neighbor was from Kentucky, and he had all these folksy expressions that I found fascinating, like for hen fruit for egg, and it was
Hen
like
fruit.
hen fruit.
What?
Like, yeah, I went to buy some hen fruit. I'm like, some what? So.
Oh my God.
Here's an ad. You've probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and it's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform, no pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind the scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators like me and John. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code studio at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code studio. No ads, more freedom, and content you actually care about. That's the deal. And so it's $10 to get all the premium content on Rumble, $5 a month to just get one show, like, for example, DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. Okay, so 8 minutes left here before we start taking calls. Not that we can't talk about anything we want in the next hour, but so John, Zelensky is meeting with Trump on Sunday at Mar-a-Lago, yeah? And so that they're indicating that there's been progress, but the Russian side of things is not so clear. First of all, Zelensky managed to really kind of tee off the Russians at a sensitive time by delivering a year-end holiday message where he basically said that most Ukrainians wished for President Putin to perish. And by the way, the Russians acting like all upset about that. It's kind of like, well, when a guy invades your country and bombs it and kills people, they may want you to die. I mean, that's not really an unreasonable response. I think I would feel the same way if I were Ukrainian. But on the other hand, it is true that it's probably not something that the president of Ukraine ought to be saying in a public venue, during sensitive negotiations. It is kind of childish, but and petulant. But anyway, I guess the thing is, where are we with all this? I mean, the U.S. and Ukraine have now agreed to terms, but where does Russia? Russia's the key factor here. John, I don't hear you.
Me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Russia's the key factor. And listen, the bottom line is, at the end of the day, Zelensky's going to agree to anything Donald Trump tells him to agree to. Right? That's the truth. Zelensky's weak. Trump is strong. He's going to do what he's told. The Russians don't seem to want to play ball. For example, this idea that came out a couple of days before Christmas of a demilitarized zone, and Zelensky agreed to it. It's an American idea. It's a terrific idea, and it gets us to the point where the two sides can begin to back off, right, and get out of each other's territory and out of each other's business. It was the Russians that refused this on Christmas Eve, not the Ukrainians. So I think that Zelensky's not the problem. I think Putin's the problem.
I mean, let's talk about that DMZ idea, John, right? I mean, so the idea was that that originally kind of vague, and then when it became was publicly stated what the specifics were, what the Ukrainians had in mind was that they would withdraw from the current current battle lines a certain distance, and that the Russians would do the same thing on their side in the territory that they control. And the Russians are saying, "Oh, no, you can withdraw but we're not withdrawing." I kind of see the Russians' point, though, John. I mean, it's kind of like they've got to be thinking, well, okay, so we're in Ukraine, right? We've got to control that all the way up to the border of whatever, Donetsk, Luhansk, whatever. If we withdraw effectively, like if hostilities continue again, then we're opening up our allies in Donetsk and Luhansk to like being overrun. We could be getting played.
Yeah, it's entirely possible, but I think the background is simpler than that, Ted. I think the Russians don't want to agree to a ceasefire, a DMZ, or whatever, because they're winning.
Yeah, that's time,
the bottom line.
Like the Rolling Stones song goes, "Time is on their side."
Yeah, exactly.
Now, what's the tragic part is that both sides seem to think, well, the U.S. seems to think that, the Europeans specifically really think that time is on their side. They want to keep this going. They figure the war's not lost as long as Ukraine is still fighting. Russia figures we're advancing. We like the looks of things. We like the hand that we're holding. So therefore, this goes on for a while.
Manya the cat is making a good point here. She says, I think he has the same mindset as John before he took the plea deal. He thinks this is about justice. That's a good point.
Zelensky?
Sometimes you're just looking at it from the wrong angle. And that very well could be it.
Yeah, there's not going to be, there's not going to be justice at the end of a war.
That's right.
War is a breakdown in any kind of discussion like that. Nicholas Frankos, Ted and John, why do you think that Obama decided to go against Israel and went through with the Iran deal? Wasn't he also influenced by the Israel lobby? Well, he certainly was influenced by.
Yeah, he definitely was, but he stood up. Yeah,
I think
man, I hate having to compliment Barack Obama. I really, really do. But yeah, there it is.
All right, along the same lines, Paul McMurray. John, do you think the Epstein Mossad suspected extortion ring is the secret sauce of Zionist influence? And are there similar projects still live? If so, I guess I added the if so.
I would bet everything that I have and say yes. I think it's alive and well. It's happening all over America. I maintain that, and again, this isn't John saying it. This is the CIA's chief of security saying it. There are Israeli government spies all over America, and they are infiltrating our defense contractors to steal the small handful of secrets that we don't already give to the Israelis. So yeah, I think that the Epstein debacle is a major part of that. Yes. 100%.
2 minutes till we start taking your calls, guys. If you're watching live in Rumble or YouTube, look at the pinned link. It's a Discord server. You're going to click that link if you want to talk to John and I. You are going to click that link, and then Robbie is going to drag you over in the Discord waiting room over to the call-in waiting room. And just a reminder, basically, talk radio rules apply. Mute your tab so that you don't hear yourself back in the delay. And if you say or do anything untoward, you'll be gone, daddy, gone, just like in the Violent Femmes song. Houdini, thanks for the $5. What are our thoughts on Matt Gaetz and his claims about Israel?
You know what? I saw that the other day, and my first inclination was Matt Gaetz is nuts. After I thought about it for a minute, I thought, no, everything he's saying is absolutely plausible. What Matt Gaetz is saying is that it was the Israeli government who tried to spread a rumor that Gaetz had sex with a minor. Remember the whole thing where Gaetz went on the Tucker Carlson show to defend himself and said, remember, Tucker, we all went to dinner, you and your wife and this young woman and me. And Tucker's like, no, we didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. We never went to dinner. I think that was Gaetz, trying his best to save himself. But he's blaming the Israelis for spreading the rumor. There was never any evidence, as it turned out, that the girl was underage. And there was a different girl that was underage, but there was no evidence that Gaetz had ever done anything with her. So I'm not saying yes or no. I'm saying certainly plausible. Sure. And may I add one thing before we jump into the next hour? The Nigerian foreign minister just said that President Trump did call the leader of Nigeria before the bombing, and the Nigerians cleared it.
Okay, so this was an American idea, and it wasn't it wasn't the Nigerians saying, "Please help us out. We don't know how to deal with these people."
No, American idea that the Nigerians supported.
Okay, got it. Okay, and I guess one more. Well, okay, I think we're going to have to move into our call-ins because we did promise that. Just one comment from Phasmataz. After Minsk, do you really blame Russia for not trusting? I don't. Plus, if I'm the Russians, I historically don't trust the Ukrainians. Or, of course, if I'm the Ukrainians, I historically don't trust the Russians. So that goes both ways. All right, guys. We are now on to, it is now 10:01 a.m. Eastern Time. It's Friday, December 26, 2025. Do a quick reset. You're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. We've ended the normal, quote unquote, part of the show. Not to say that you guys are going to make it abnormal, but we are now going to open up the phones on the Discord server and take your calls. Producer Robbie West is going to explain exactly how it works for those of you who are just joining us. If you're watching us later on streaming, this is something that we will be doing again next week, Monday, December 29th. Also a 2-hour show, and we'll be taking calls in the second hour. So you have not missed your chance. All right, Robbie, go ahead.
All right, so we're going to begin to start here in just a moment. So just again, call talk radio show. Show rules apply. Don't come on and tell us your life story. We don't care. We're just all about asking questions to John and Ted, and just be respectful. That's really all we have to say. And I am bringing Tammy over. Tammy, you are live, and we eagerly await your questions. Just unmute yourself.
Tammy, you are muted. From one Ohioan to another. That's never good. Tammy, demute. There you go.
Okay, and did I mute the other thing?
Yep, you're good. No feedback.
Okay, I watched the interview with John and Ted yesterday, and something really struck me when you were talking about the number of incarcerated PDF offenders. I was
Yes.
wondering, did you know that, John, before you went in, and did it shock you?
It was completely shocking to me. Honest to God, I had never given it 5 seconds of thought. And when I got there, it's like every third person that I run into is a pedophile, and in some cases, violent pedophiles. Not just enticing children to have sex with them, but like raping and harming, physically harming children. It was shocking to me. That very first day, I was shocked into silence by it. I really was.
I almost got that energy listening to you. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I not know this, and why don't people talk about this?
You know what? That's a great question. And that is one of the reasons why I've written so much about it. Because people don't know it. They don't know that these people, they don't stay in prison forever for the most part. They get out and they live among us. I remember saying to my now ex-wife when I got out, I can spot a pedophile now just by looking at him.
Yep.
You can tell just by
Yes, you
looking at
can.
him.
They
can you tell?
breathe, look in their eyes,
The eyes.
sweating, smell. There are all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
Where can I find the stuff you've written about it, John? Because I didn't know you had.
Oh, sure. At most of it's at reader-supported news and at consortium news. And I wrote about it a lot in my second book, Doing Time Like a Spy.
Okay, well, that's where I'll start then. Well, I'm very
Awesome.
grateful that you are. And
Thank you.
I'm really focused on the fact that nobody wants to talk about it because there's so much blowback, toxicity in our culture because we don't talk about it.
We don't.
And I'm sorry.
We don't talk about it.
But too bad, because some of us have had to live with it for 58 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Did you happen to watch the show The Wire? Or if anybody happened to watch the show The Wire, do you remember Ziggy, the kid whose dad was the union leader? He committed suicide a few days ago in Los Angeles, and it turns out that he was brutally raped by a family friend at the age of 12, and only just recently started to talk about it and to write about it. But psychologically, he was never able to get over it. And his wife said that was the reason for his suicide. He was 42 years old. This happened 30 years ago.
Living with it.
Yeah.
You get tired of living with it. And everybody
Yes.
will tell you that you're crazy or gaslight this, that, and the other. And you
Yep.
just get to the point where you quit. You're fed up.
Yeah.
If
Absolutely
anybody,
true.
if they're listening to this, what I'm saying to you in personal experience is stop listening to everybody. Go out in nature and listen to yourself, and you can heal. Don't
Yeah,
listen
that's
to
right. That's
people.
right.
I beg you.
Thanks,
You know,
Tammy.
there was something else too that I didn't say. I worked in the chapel for most of my time in prison, and there was another guy working in the chapel, an older guy in his 70s, and his last name was Cook. We just called him Cook. I don't know what his first name was, but he had um, crossed state borders to molest a child decades ago and got 5 years. And then as soon as he got out, he did it again. And he
Yeah.
got 20 years. And I met him at the very end of his 20. I remember sitting we had a weekly staff meeting on Tuesday mornings. Um, and it was Cook's last Tuesday. And so he left. 6 months later, it's my turn to finally go home. And a couple of days before I leave, I run into Cook in the hall. And I said, Cook, what are you doing here? He says, well, I got a problem, he says. I said, oh my God, you molested another freaking child? How much did you get this time? And he said, 60 years. He was in his 70s. 60 years. Well, you know what? It can't be cured. So maybe we should have given him the 60 years the first time. And he wouldn't have wrecked God knows how many other children's lives. And that's just
They
one guy.
get less time than violent criminals without the sex.
Yep.
Murderers.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. They say, well, we have mandatory minimum sentencing for child molestation. Yeah, 5 years.
Why? Yeah, why?
You get more than 5 years cheating on your mortgage application.
And I hate
So,
to say
yeah.
it, but those judges are not interested in changing those lines in case
Well,
they get caught.
it's the legislatures too. It's the legislatures that have fallen down on this issue, both at the state and federal levels. They need to really, really make these sentences tough and keep these monsters off the street because there is no cure. And since there's no
there
cure,
isn't.
there's no protection for children.
So the scale of this, when I looked into it in preparation for writing about it a few years ago, I was shocked. John, I've told John this. I couldn't, I was like, yeah, I know it happens, but I didn't understand like how, like you described. It's so prevalent. So many kids are at risk. What's the right solution? I guess the thing is there something unique about the United States, or do we have more of them than other countries? Is there something about our? Is there something that we could be doing to minimize people becoming pedophiles? Is there something we could be? What's the best way to keep kids safe now from them? What's the best way to treat pedophiles? These are huge, undiscussed questions. I guess is my point.
I think it begins at home, where we have to teach our children from a very young age. I'll tell you kind of a funny story. When my third son was 3 years old, I took him to the doctor for whatever immunizations he needed, and his 3-year-old checkup. And so he was standing in the exam room, and the doctor undid his pants and pulled his pants down and pulled his underwear down, and he goes like this. He goes, "I'm telling an adult." And I laughed and I said, "No, buddy, it's okay. It's okay for the doctor. You're the doctor and mom and dad, but that's it." But he knew at 3 years old this was wrong,
Good for him.
and he needed to tell an adult. And so it begins at home, in my view. And kids should know you can tell your parents anything. Nothing should be a secret. You can tell them anything. That's how we teach our children to protect themselves.
Oh, and
Except
you
I
also
gotta
have
tell
to
you,
know that
a guy tried to rape me when I was 12 years old, custodian in my junior high school, and I didn't tell my mom because I knew she wouldn't believe me. I told my mom, I don't know, in my 40s. She didn't believe me.
Oh my God.
She
Ted.
did not believe me.
It's horrible.
So
She didn't believe you. I can't imagine not believing my child when they.
she said it was a guy. I was helping him as his assistant, and I was working. It was a job, and she was like, "You were just lazy. You didn't want to work." So,
oh my God.
You're saying I do agree with you. People should be able to tell their parents anything, but in reality, sometimes parents are not great.
See, and that's why we're
Or
in the
they're
situation we're
at
in.
home.
Yeah,
Or it's happening at home because I told.
sure. It is happening at home.
Yeah,
And
that's a more
listen,
common
the
problem.
offenders know who have boundaries. Don, you mentioned that you were around somebody and they didn't pick on you. They didn't pick on you because of credit to your parents. Parents
Yeah.
were incredible people. Incredible
Yeah.
people. They deserve medals for raising kids they raised.
Amen. Amen.
All
Absolutely.
right, Tammy. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
Tammy.
that.
Thank you,
you.
Tammy.
Thank you.
Okay, next up will be, I think I'm gonna butcher this name. I apologize. It is Hikal. However it is that you say that. Pardon the southern drawl. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
You're on the air. Ekal, you're on the air.
Hello.
We've got to. We need a better way.
Yep.
Hikal, you're on the air. Go ahead. Please ask your question.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, we hear
Am I
you.
on the
Yes.
air?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So I just wanted to tell you guys good morning. Big shout out to you guys. I've been watching you guys for a couple of weeks now. I'm all the way from Egypt. And I have a couple of questions for you, John. Do you have any sort of interactions with the Mossad or Egyptian intelligence that you can maybe share with us today?
John, did you hear that?
Not a word.
Oh, okay. So, do you want to repeat that?
No, I mean, I can't hear him at all. I can't hear
Hear me.
anything
Oh,
he's saying.
okay. So we're having
That's
a
weird.
glitch. So, okay. So I'll pass that on to you, John. The question was, he's calling in from Egypt, and he likes the show. He wanted to know
Ahlan wa sahlan.
if you have had any interactions with the Mossad or Egyptian intelligence that you'd care to talk about.
I'm very proud and happy to say that the only experience I had with the Mossad is that kind of funny story that I tell, that it was my first liaison briefing and the guy asked me if I was Jewish to try to recruit me. That was it. That was the extent of my interaction with Mossad. I worked very closely and over a long period of time with the Aegis, the Egyptian General Intelligence Service, and I found them to be just about one of the most professional intelligence services I ever had occasion to work with. I enjoyed my time with the Egyptians. They treated me very, very well, and I have only warm memories of my time working with Aegis. They're very good.
Thank you so much, sir. I just had one more question regarding to how would you rank the Middle Eastern intelligence services?
His
generally-
one more question, and then we'll move on after this. He wants to know, how would you rank the Middle Eastern intelligence services?
Well, I'm sorry to say that the Israelis are the best. There's no question about that. I would say that that the Egyptians and the Saudis are probably second best, and most others are a distant third. The Emiratis are pretty good. I trained. I did extensive training for the Emiratis on counterterrorism operations, and they didn't need to be trained. They knew exactly what they were doing. Everybody else, you know, Moroccans are better than the Tunisians. The Algerians are better than the Libyans, and the Libyans, well, they don't really have one anymore. The Lebanese aren't very good. The Jordanians, you know what? I should have said this. I'm catching myself now. The Jordanians are at least as good as the Egyptians, and they're better than the Saudis. So say Israel first, Egypt, Jordan second, Saudis a close third. Everybody else is distant.
Someone, Ali, saying Yemen number one. Whatever's left of it. All right, let's move on.
Let me add something, if I may, about Yemen. The first time I went to Yemen, I flew down from Jeddah, and I was serving in Riyadh at the time. I was in Jeddah for the weekend visiting some friends, and I had some friends working in Sana'a, and they cabled me in Jeddah and said, "Hey, why don't you come down for the long weekend?" It was the Prophet's birthday, so everything was closed. So why don't you come down and we'll show you Sana'a, and we'll go into the countryside, et cetera, et cetera. So I had never been to Yemen before. I said, "Great." So I was getting ready to fly down, and one of the guys in the embassy said, "Hey, do you mind taking a diplomatic pouch with you?" I said, "No, no problem." So when you fly with a diplomatic pouch, you get a business class seat, and the pouch gets a business class seat because it can't leave your custody. So it had a lead seal on it. It said diplomatic pouch. It's in an orange bag, which means it's classified, versus a canvas bag, which means it's unclassified. So mostly what was in there was just mail, right? People's mail that needed to be delivered. And one of the communicators at the consulate stuck in a set of walkie-talkies. It was really unclassified. I don't know why they put it in a classified pouch. I think just so I could fly business class. So I fly down to Sana'a, and they tell me I have to put the pouch through the X-ray machine. I said, no. It's a diplomatic pouch. I have all the paperwork here, and it's a classified pouch. They said, "We don't care what it is. You put it through the X-ray." And I said, "Absolutely not." So we have this standoff. So the guy yanks it out of my hands, and I said, "Hey." Another guy pulls his pistol on me.
Whoa.
And I'm 26 years old at the time, so I just kind of put up my hands. The guy takes out his jambia, that curved dagger, and he hacks at the lead seal and breaks the seal off. And I was like, "Oh, you guys are in for it now," right? So they open it up. They pull out the walkie-talkies. This is before I spoke Arabic. The guy says, "Jesus," which is like one of the very few words that I understood at the time. It meant spy. And I was like, "Ah, shit." And then they grab me, they cuff me behind my back, and they put me in a cell. They have these holding cells in the lobby, and I'm making a stink. I'm using the filthiest language I can think of and just screaming my head off. Finally, the ambassador comes to the airport and tells them, "You've violated international law. We're going to make a complaint against you in Washington and at the United Nations. Let my man go." So they let me go. I was in there for 4 hours with some Filipino nurse, a male nurse, who just had some visa irregularity. I went to Yemen 4 times after that, never had any problems. But that first time, Yemeni intelligence, they don't give a shit what kind of paperwork you have or what color your passport is or who you think you are. They don't care because the rules mean nothing to them.
Wow.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Let's move on to another caller.
All right. Manya the cat, you are live. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hey, Manya, you're on the air.
Okay, so I wanted to ask John if he could tell us about the anything he knows about the Vietnamese intelligence agency, or if he doesn't have too much to say about it, the Chinese intelligence agency.
Sure.
Because I've been on a journey to deprogram myself from like my country's propaganda, like especially against the Chinese, since I watched the show. But I can't really find anything about my own country's like intelligence agency because our state media is like heavily controlled. So
yeah. Well, thank you, Manya. I regret to say that because East Asia wasn't my bailiwick, I never had any experience with or encounter with Vietnamese intelligence. It was always my impression, my understanding from others that they were a very professional service and very good at what they did. But I don't have any firsthand experience. With that said, we all end up with some experience with the Chinese. The Chinese are very, very good. Very good. Unlike us, they're focused almost entirely on technology, especially defense technology. And so we go through training on how to protect ourselves from the Chinese. I will say that I will tell you that one of the weaknesses that Chinese intelligence officers have is because pornography is banned in China. They are very susceptible to recruitment using porn. It's not the money. They don't care about the money. It's porn that they want, especially when they are forced to return to China. They want to have a source of pornography while they're in China. But I never worked with the Vietnamese, no exposure to them. The Chinese are at least as good as we are. They're less good on human intelligence, just because of the language and cultural differences. But they're very, very good on collection of technology.
Thank you very much for that call. So, by the way, just a reminder to people, this is no obligation, but if you'd like to have your picture on the air, you can turn on your camera. You don't have to. No requirement here at all. But if you're open to that, you can do that. That option is available. Also, someone's going to basically just a reminder to everyone to make sure that you are that your mic is on, but that your tab is muted. So those are the two important things. And someone's going to maybe pop in as you're waiting in the waiting room to remind you to do that. Anyway, Robbie, take it away. And just a reminder, you are watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou, Hour 2 on Friday, December 26th.
All right. John Jackson, you are live. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
John,
Hello.
you're on the air.
I had a question for John, and I just kind of wanted to hear if you could recall a time in your life that, I mean, I heard the time you were in Greece, you didn't have toilets, the time that you were in the hospital with Abu Zubaydah and you were getting shot at, but not just danger aside, what was the most uncomfortable place that you had to spend like even just a night or two?
Could you?
John, do you hear that?
A word.
The question was, what's the most uncomfortable place physically uncomfortable place you've ever had to spend the night?
Peshawar, Pakistan. That's an easy one. In many of the places where I was in Pakistan, bed was just a euphemism. We would just sleep on the floor. You just ball up your jacket and use that as a pillow. But Peshawar was the only place where I was physically uncomfortable and personally frightened. That's the farthest I ever felt from home. Was in Peshawar, Pakistan. There was just gunfire all night long. And I've stayed in other places where there was gunfire. I was in Guatemala for a couple of weeks and would go to bed to the sound of gunfire all night long, right outside the walls of the facility where I was. But it was, they were 20-foot concrete block walls. So you were okay. But in Peshawar, man, if they
walls.
Oh yeah, like blast walls. If they knew in Peshawar that we were, not really able to protect ourselves after the first 5
They're
minutes,
going to come in and eat you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, that was, in most places that I've been in my career, I'd say, oh, I'd go back there just to check it out, see what it's like now. And that's not one of them.
Having been there, I'll
afraid
second that thought.
Yeah.
And I've told you this before. I mean, in my opinion, Pakistan is more dangerous than Afghanistan for an American. And I've had very uncomfortable nights in Afghanistan. And there's something really eerie about that whole, like you're trying to sleep in your bed on one side of a wall. It's cold usually. There's no heat at all, but you hear terrible sounds coming from the street. I remember hearing people screaming, being killed, being raped on the other side of the wall, and you're just like that. So you're just like, hell is literally on the other side of some adobe mud wall. It's like, and it can come for you anytime.
I have a question for y'all, at the risk of being called, every kind of bad name in the book. The places you're describing sound absolutely horrible. Why would we ever allow immigration from those places? Why would we import that culture here?
There are good, innocent people who want to get out. They want to make a life for their families. You can't just assume that everybody is, out there to kill and maim and rape and pillage.
But how do you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the question, right?
Well, that's what vetting's all about.
Nothing's 100% ever.
No.
But I mean, I will say also, it's important to understand that immigrants don't really necessarily 100% represent the culture of the country they're leaving. The fact that they want to leave is indicative of the fact that in many cases, they don't like the culture where they are. And they're so like Afghans are trying to get away from the violence. If they liked the violence, if they were the perpetrators, they would stay where they could continue to have fun and rape and rob people. They don't. They want to leave.
You ready for the next caller?
Yeah.
All right. So next up is D Nice Gamer. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sure. Thank you guys for having you all. First off, just Happy New Year. Ted, I know you're helping John with his audio. It's not too much to ask you. Let him know California. And my question is, coming 2026, what do you guys think will be like the big thing that people should keep an eye out, whether it's politically, technologically, like AI or something like that,
I myself am most concerned about, creeping authoritarianism as we're seeing domestically in the United States from agencies like the National Guard and Immigration and Customs Enforcement that used to be not play a big role in our domestic politics and now are being deployed all over the United States. John, did you hear that question?
No, I didn't.
Oh, the question is what to look out for in 2026, whether it's AI or something else. What's the big trend? And for me, I think it's the militarization of American cities and streets, and just sort of how will that affect? I don't want to say like this means we're going fascist, but there's small f fascist kind of fascistic tendencies that have been around, by the way, that long predated Donald Trump and that presidents of both parties have wallowed in for years. But it just seems like we're hitting some sort of tipping point that I would watch out for to see if we cross over into a point of no return for the foreseeable future where we lose control of our government.
Very good.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Maybe this is just me, but I'm afraid of AI. I'm afraid of AI because it's moving so quickly. It is utterly unregulated, at least so far, and we don't know what the end game is. I'm afraid that we may be conceding, our very lives to AI. Already, it's making university professors irrelevant, which bothers me very much. And I'm afraid that it's going to move to the point where it's out of control and it's going to be too late to rein it back in.
Everything you said, and I totally agree with. And I also want to add to that, John, like what AI is, it's a snake eating its tail, right? Because it scrapes all this content from websites all over the place. And then, then why would anybody, go to the original, I don't know, akronbeaconnews.com website when that's just part of the big morass that you can get from GPT or whatever, and what's going to happen? But those websites won't get the traffic that they need to stay in business, so they'll go under, and then there won't be any real content. I mean, I always use the statistic because it's so profound. In tradition, up until recently, 90+% of all original news was and is reported by a print newspaper, and that is picked up by the local radio and TV station, and there's no original reporting there. And then the internet, right, just basically repurposes that. Well, if the print newspapers go away, then there's no source material. Similarly, if the underlying websites go under, that feed into AI, even if you think AI is a beautiful thing, there's no source material. What no one can answer me is who the fuck is going to find out what the truth is and report it? I don't know.
Absolutely true.
Okay.
I agree 100%.
All right. So next up will be Gorilla. Gorilla, you are live. Please unmute yourself. We await your question.
Gorilla, you're on the air.
Hey, this is Joseph, Gorilla. This is a question about Agent Orange and voting rights. My dad was a Puerto Rican Marine Raider in '68 in Vietnam and came back and became voting rights activist with my mom. They won a case in the '80s, and we actually got a lawsuit against the VA to get more benefits because it took them till the PACT Act to get benefits for my mother. It started in 2022 in terms of a widow's benefit. And since John is fighting for his retirement, I want to see y'all's views in terms of the way that veterans, because I see the medals behind John there also. I have my dad's medals also in a shadow box in terms of the horrible situation of people that do service for the country come back and continue to do service, just like John is doing and y'all are all doing. And my parents did in the '80s, implementing the Voting Rights Act. We're called communists for actually wanting voting rights. I'm a professor at a university, and I write about a whole host of issues. Thank you.
Is there a question? Sorry.
Yeah, about service, about VA benefits, about doing service for your country and being treated like shit the way John has been treated, the way all of y'all have been treated.
John, do you hear any of this?
The last couple of sentences.
Please go. Please repeat that.
My dad was a Puerto Rican Marine Raider in Vietnam in '68.
Yeah, not the whole thing, just the last few sentences. Sorry.
No, I got the last few sentences. I didn't hear any of the background.
His dad was served in Vietnam in 1968 and came and I was affected by Agent Orange. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he died in '85 from leukemia. And they finally
Died of
admitted
leukemia.
it in 2022.
Okay. So basically talk about, comment on, our veterans being treated like shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Listen, I come from a very heavily military family. I have 4 cousins that served in Vietnam, all in combat, every last one of them in combat. And I agree. On the one hand, we overdo it. For example, the giant flag at the football games, the flyovers that American taxpayers pay for at every football game. It's all bullshit and nonsense. Where it comes to really doing something for the veterans, that's where we drop the ball. A veteran commits suicide.
You're not satisfied by the $1,776 Warriors check?
You see what I mean? And by the way, 1776 does not go to members of the National Guard, even if they've been serving in combat positions. I just learned that day before yesterday from a relative who's in the National Guard here. So veterans commit suicide literally every day in the parking lots of VA hospitals. Agent Orange, people who were exposed to Agent Orange have died of cancer for decades. We've known that this was the case for decades, and we did nothing to help them. So, talk is cheap. And I think most veterans would agree that they'd be willing to forego the flyovers at the NFL playoff games in exchange for real health care, real, psychological care, something to pay them back for what they've given up.
My dad was a Korean War veteran, and he was a raving alcoholic because of it, just of all the stuff that he saw. And it was, our government does a great job of breaking its warriors and then not giving a crap about them after the fact. It's terrible. Next up will be Johnny Uchilla 2. Sir, you are live. Please unmute yourself.
And mute your tab, because otherwise you're
You
going to
guys
hear
hear me?
yourself back you're going to hear yourself back. Go ahead.
Is this all good?
Yep, we hear you good.
Awesome. Yeah, so big fan of the show. And just really quick questions on the whole Russia-Ukraine situation. I'm Gen Z, and call me a Russian sympathizer, but I feel like during the Cold War, like we didn't do a good job of like embracing them, like when the wall fell. So my question is, where would we be if we actually took Russia and NATO, I think in the 90s? And do you think we still have people in the system who are still scared of like the Red Scare in Russia, even though they're not even communists anymore?
So, John, the question is about the collapse of the Soviet Union and how the United States handled it. Where would we be today if we had admitted Russia to NATO? And are we still in a protracted Red Scare, Cold Warrior vibe? I think, without a doubt, that's the world I wanted to live in. I wanted to, I wanted to live in a world where George H.W. Bush reached out to Russia and the other Soviet republics and said, listen, we're here to help. We want to help you make a soft landing. We'll help you transition to capitalism. We'll provide you with subsidies, to avoid no shock economics. Of course, you can join NATO. We're all friends now. The Cold War is over. That's not the direction that they went in, as we all know. And it led us to where we are now. And it's tragic and foolish. I mean, it was about money. It was about the military-industrial complex. I wish we'd gotten the peace dividend. I really do, but we didn't. And it's I think it's a tragedy, and I think that's the part where, and I do think there's a lot of people in the elites who never stopped thinking of Russia as an enemy after 1991. But what do you think, John?
I couldn't agree more. George H.W. Bush, for all of his apparent alleged expertise in foreign affairs, blew it in a very big way. We should have been there for the Russians at the very beginning as they transitioned into democracy. We shouldn't have propped up a corrupt drunk whose tenure led to, in part, to the situation that we're in now. And when the Russians asked to join NATO, not once, but twice, we should have welcomed them into NATO. Or we should have just dispensed with NATO.
We didn't need it anymore.
We don't need it anymore. So yeah, we blew it in a big way. That's why I reject all these, evil empire kind of silly positions that the Democrats take. I just don't believe it at all. I just don't believe
garbage.
Yeah. I've said before, I'm going to repeat myself. I was invited to lunch by the Russian ambassador several years ago, along with a bunch of other people, Peter Kuznick and Barbara Koppel, and journalists, independent journalists. And the ambassador asked me specifically, because of a piece I had written, in what areas could Russia and the United States cooperate, even during a time of war? And I said, even in a time of war, we can cooperate on three things easily: counterterrorism, because we're both victims; counter proliferation; and counter narcotics. But we don't. And I don't know that from the CIA. I know that from the Russians, where
climate change also.
Yeah, right. Climate change also, and international health. But the ambassador said that the CIA cut us off completely, and there is no liaison relationship, even on these issues of mutual interest. So yet another mistake that the United States has made.
I mean, of course, it would have been a big fucking bummer for Northrop Grumman and for Boeing and
exactly.
It would have. Exactly. I mean, honestly, I mean, it sounds facile, but I really think it's that simple. I mean, there were trillions of dollars at stake. They couldn't allow the danger of a horrific peace breaking out.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, guys. So keep the calls coming. Just a reminder, please mute your tab, but unmute yourself talking, and you can show your picture or you don't have to. we have about 19 minutes to go before we're out at 11 o'clock Eastern. We're taking your calls. And we are also looking at you and your comments in the YouTube and in the Rumble chat. So anything to say there, we will probably notice it at some point. Anyway, go ahead, Robbie. What do we have next?
Next up is Liben. Liben, you are live.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. I love the show. I never miss a day. And can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Go ahead, Liben.
Okay. So, John, I wanted to ask you, you told us plenty of stories when you worked for the CIA. Are there some stories that you can never share with anybody for your job back in the day?
Were you able to hear him, John?
John, did you hear that? The question is for you back in, are there any stories that you cannot share from your work at the CIA? I would imagine many.
Yeah, many. In fact, the first draft of my first book, the CIA they redacted the entire book at first, but at the end of it, it took me 9 months to write it, 22 months to get it cleared, and they ended up taking out 90 pages.
Uh-oh.
Where's John?
Sorry, John, we lost you for a second there. John, can you hear us? So John's internet connection is poor today.
Bobby, can you hear me?
I hear you. Yep, I hear you now. You dropped for a moment. You're talking about how you booked in the last 90 pages.
I can't hear you at all.
Let me see here. Ted, you're muted.
Okay, well, here I am anyway, for what it's worth. So yeah, we're about to get hit by a huge storm here in the northeastern United States. New York City is expecting between 5 and 9 inches of snow. Some people are saying 6 to 10 inches of snow. And I imagine New Hampshire will be hit by that much or more for obvious reasons. So we'll see what happens there. We're trying to get John back. We'll see what happens there. I think I see. There's John Kiriakou.
He's back.
There it is.
We hear you.
The last thing I said was that they took out 90 pages, and then I lost everything.
Okay. Well, pick it up there, please.
And now I can't hear Ted. Yes, great.
Oh God, are you serious?
Can you
test? John, do you hear me?
I can't hear Robbie either.
Oh man. It's like.
Let me get out. I'll get out and I'll come back in.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so anyway, that big storm's hitting this evening, and it's supposed to be a whiteout. It's actually very exciting. New York has not had actual snow accumulation now in years, Robbie. And so this will be the first time that there's going to, it used to be routine that it snowed in New York, but, the climate has changed, and so this is kind of a throwback.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's been in the 40s here all week. This is the first time
That's very hot for Montana.
Oh, yeah, it's flooding because we got a nice little dose of freezing, and then it just now it's warmed back up. Usually it's 0 this time of the year, and it's just nothing. Do you want me to go ahead and bring in another caller, or okay?
Yeah, see if we can get a caller who wants to, who until we get John back, something that I can talk about.
Okay, and we got John back. Let's see if he is populating in. Maybe, hopefully. This is live. This is live TV. I mean, there's no fixing this. If something goes squirrely,
sorry, guys,
it happens.
I can't hear you at all. I went all the way out and came back in. I still can't hear you.
Okay, I'm going to type something to John. Would it help if John were to be audio only?
I don't think it's going to make a difference.
Okay. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Do you think he's got us muted?
Possibly. Because if he's running this on a browser, he could have his tab muted.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean,
If
yeah,
you
I
can
have,
hear me,
Yep, we hear you.
chat won't allow me in either. It says messages failed to load. Try again. I hit it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Not working.
Weird.
Don't like this Discord.
We will look for another solution then. This is...
Nope, I don't have you muted.
Hmm.
Where would that even be, Bobby? Or Ted?
On the tab.
I'm going to assume he's using the web browser.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I didn't even know there's something else you could do.
I mean, there's an
I guess
app.
there's an app.
Yeah, there's an app that you could use on his phone.
Yeah, but I think he's on a desktop.
Nothing looks like it's muted.
Yeah, the tab is always the giveaway for me. Sometimes I accidentally. Do you want to go ahead and bring in a caller?
Yeah, yeah, I will go ahead and bring in a caller. We'll bring in Schmobs. Schmobs, you are live. I don't know if John will be able to hear you or not, so you might just be stuck with Ted.
Yeah, poor Ted.
But
Schmobs.
Schmobs, you are muted, so if you unmute yourself.
Everyone's muted. Everybody be muted.
Oh wait, mute myself or not mute myself?
Nope.
Sorry.
No,
Mute
do
your
not.
tab, not yourself.
Okay. Mute my tab. Okay.
Yeah, you sound good. There's no feedback, so you're rocking.
Awesome.
Go ahead.
So
John probably can't hear you, so I hope you are satisfied with me and Robbie.
Oh, of course. You guys are great. I really appreciate the show. You guys are amazing. Seriously.
Thank you.
Of course. You guys have amazing insights. I'll ask my question. So I asked earlier about Israel and Iran specifically and the whole kind of stalemate, but I guess a follow-up question would be, I saw that there were reports of Netanyahu. He had this Christmas greeting after this incident in Haifa. Do you think, and especially after the context of, I think the Ayatollah visited a Christian family and I guess kind of like the propaganda war. Do you think that has any bearing of like the sway over the Christian populations in the West or other non-aligned states?
I mean, that is becoming an increasing factor in domestic, U.S. media coverage. And I think it is starting to play, right? It's very strange because the idea that, for example, there even was such a thing as a Palestinian Christian was an afterthought, something that most Americans had no idea about. They just assumed there were none. But now they're actually getting coverage. Just yesterday, I was listening to NPR, and they had an extensive feature about worshipers at a Palestinian church that had been destroyed in Gaza, and how they were holding services for the first time in 2 or 3 years, and that was that's the kind of piece that you just wouldn't have gotten covered. You wouldn't have heard, right? I mean, it's sort of like it's barely the greatest extent to which that's understood is like when there's coverage of Bethlehem, which is in the occupied West Bank. Then you sort of get like, oh yeah, that's right. But I think I wouldn't say it's a dominating thing, but I think it is, it fits in with the narrative of what just happened with Trump and the airstrike against in Nigeria, supposedly to protect Christians. Trump is sort of setting himself up as a defender of Christendom around the world. I mean, Robbie, I think that's fair to say. What do you think?
I think what it is that the Zionists have done a great job with their propaganda. I know earlier how you and John were talking about racism in the Christian church versus the way that Jews kind of look at people. I think that kind of boils down to two things. Is that the Zionists, they try and play it as if Jew is both an ethnicity and a religion. Whereas Christianity, there's no ethnic bond involved in it. I mean, there is no lineage. We're actually told our lineage doesn't matter. And one of the things that disgusts me as a fundamentalist Christian is how poorly American Christians treat Arab Christians, if they even think of them at all. It's a betrayal. It's disgusting, and it's a cancer in the church. The John Hagee types need to be called up for what they are, which is heretics, and thrown out.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, thank you. Thank you again.
Of course.
Thanks for the question. All right, hopefully, John, do you hear me at all? Okay, we are working on John trying to get reconnected here. By the way, this would be thanks for the brown shoe tuxedo $10 question. When we get John back, we'll ask him about why the Taliban is willing to cozy up to China despite the PRC carrying out mass repression against the Uyghurs in Xinjiang. I mean, I think, first of all, the Taliban are probably in a position of wanting to make as many friends as they possibly can, and China has a small border with Afghanistan, and it's definitely, they can use the support. And I think the Taliban, they respect the fact that they appreciate the Chinese investments, and the fact that they're willing to engage with them diplomatically in a way that the rest of the world is not, right? So, basically the Taliban, they can't be choosers at this point when it comes to diplomatic relations. So, and they'd be foolish to turn the PRC away, I think. But anyway, any more questions? Do we have any more questions?
We do. We've got a couple more we may be able to get to before we run out of time. So this is Trent. Trent, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, please, sir.
Oh, I was just screening calls.
Oh,
I didn't have a question.
All right, fair enough. I'll punch you back. Good to know. All right. So Rats and Rope I'm sorry, not Rats and Rope. Mustang is next. Mustang, you are live on the air.
And unfortunately, I have to warn you that John still can't hear us, so only Robbie and I can hear you. Hello, hello.
Mustang, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the great information you're sharing. My question is for John. In the film,
John can't hear you, so
yeah, he's having technical problems.
All right.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll call in next week then.
All right, sounds good. We will be back here Monday. We're here Monday through Friday, 9:00 Eastern. We'll be doing a 2-hour show on Monday, with the second hour being a call-in, and hopefully we will have worked out some of the technical kinks, at least these ones, until we get new ones. But John, thanks for calling in, though. Appreciate it.
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with John on using the app as opposed to the browser. That's probably the problem with this computer acting crazy. So,
although I'm using the browser and I'm fine.
Yeah, but his computer's sick.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
if only there was an international organization whose job was to hack people's computers who were not perhaps that popular with the government, we might be able to get some kind of suspicion, some kind of bead on who might be guilty and responsible for this, or maybe it's just a sick computer. All right.
Yeah, and there's no more calls.
More questions?
Nope. So there are no more calls. So
okay.
You are stuck with me, sir.
Okay, that's totally fine. All right, well, Robbie, I'm going to ask you one of the questions that that was asked earlier that I thought was a huge, great, open-ended question. What are you looking towards in the new year in terms of either with dread or with something you're looking forward to? It could be anything: cultural, religious, political, current events, whatever.
Well, I am a natural-born pessimist, so that way I'm never disappointed by good news. So personally, I think that things are just going to get worse. I think that the economy is going to continue to deteriorate. I think that socially the country is just going to keep on coming apart. But there is one bright light, and that is how many young people are starting to really turn to Christianity, and they're not turning to Zionism. Like they're not embracing Christian Zionism. Like they are actually getting into real, honest to God Christianity.
That is happening. Is it two questions? Do you think it's performative Christianity? Like, you go in, you attend church, but then you say fuck you to someone who's pulling out of the parking lot at the same time as you? Or is it the real thing? And what do you attribute it to? Do you think, is it people aren't finding answers in other institutions? What do you think is going on?
Well, now, as a fundamentalist Christian, I'm not opposed to saying "fuck you" to somebody who pulls out in front of me, because that is that is something that I am working on. Just because I'm saved does not mean I'm perfect. But no, I think what it is just people need stability, and as society just becomes more and more unstable, from a economic standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, to even just a meaning of life standpoint, people need to have something that they can cling to that has some kind of an order, something that's bigger than them, and something that's bigger than the state that they rightly see has betrayed them. And that something is the church. And so I think that's really what it is they want to have something that has stood the test of time. They want to have something that is bigger than themselves, and something that has clearly defined rules. The Ten Commandments are pretty clear. Don't do this, and you're good to go. Whereas if, our modern day society, we can't even agree with what a woman is. So people just want some kind of order. I think that's a big part of it.
And also it feels old, right? Like it feels like it predates modernity and the internet and industrialization and all that. It feels like it goes back to, a more, okay, so let's see. Our colleague, who shall remain nameless, also agrees that John will be better off if he downloads the app. So we should tell him to do that. Got a couple of minutes left. If there's a last minute caller who wants to talk to me and or Robbie, we can take that. But in the meantime, just a reminder, we are pleased to like, follow, and share the show. We're trying to get this up and running financially. Some money's trickling in, and so we appreciate that. We will be resuming Robbie Aid, by the way, after January 1st. We're going to try to figure out the way to make this show run as smoothly as possible with the call-ins. We will, just full transparency, next week we are here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not Thursday, which is New Year's Day, January 1st, 2026, but we're back on Friday, January 2nd. So basically we're here all week. We're not here Thursday. And we will be doing 2-hour shows the entire time next week, where it's the same exact format. The first hour will be news and analysis. The second hour will be call-ins, if we can make this work. And we think that we have a technical solution here. Anyway, thanks for all that.
No, we
Robbie,
do.
Do we have any last minute?
No, just a little bit of housekeeping stuff. So one of the things I'll be doing this weekend is I'm going to work on just trying to smooth this out, just make it look cleaner, just make it look more professional. I'm using OBS. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and build that, make it work. And I think that if John uses the app as opposed to his computer, that will solve the problem. And when he gets back home, provided he doesn't get blizzarded in, I'm going to see if I can help him fix his computer from 2,000 miles away. So.
Okay. All right. With that, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Have a great weekend. If you are in northwestern Nigeria, maybe, find a nice cave to hide in for the next few days, and that'll be good. Yeah. Otherwise, thanks, everyone. See you on Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 to 11. So see you then. Thank you very much, Robbie. Sorry for the technical problems, but hopefully we'll have that all resolved soon.
Well, one thing we're going to start working on, and this is actually something that's going to help me out a little bit on the back end, on the Discord server, y'all are going to see a little tab there. It's called Debate. We are actually going to have real debates on the Discord server, and I may even stream those on my Rumble channel. And so if y'all want to get in and have civil conversations with people who you don't agree with, check it out. Think you'll like it.
Bye, Robbie. Bye, John.
Bye-bye, y'all. You switch this over, and we are going away.